Welcome to the BXG Podcast, the podcast where pop culture and nerd culture meet.
You think it's just going to be barbecue sauce?
Because if you actually read those books, it's just gobbledygook.
I really think clothes should be mandatory.
Speaking of Star Wars,
Captain America.
trailer reaction video. Next up is Andor, episode 6. There's not actually a ton to recap about this, I don't think, because they did the heist.
Right.
A couple characters met their end as a result of the heist. They got the payroll. They get off planet. Skeen says, "Listen, cousin, let's just split this right down the middle." And he says, "Kabam."
Mm-hmm.
And then he walks in and he says, "I'm taking my cut. Give your buddy his kyber crystal back. I'm out." That's underselling this episode, which is quite frankly one of the best episodes of any Star Wars show that we've gotten thus far. But without going into like serious details about the heist, and I think that this from an editing and cinematography standpoint was a masterpiece of an episode, and continues to show that this is the best Star Wars content that we've gotten in a long time.
This was my favorite episode of anything Star Wars. Any Mandalorian episode.
Well, episode 5 is still my favorite episode.
That is my
episode
second favorite
5,
now. But
Empire Strikes Back.
Oh, I'm talking Star Wars
Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
Star Wars TV series.
I was being a smart ass.
I know. Okay. That was her. This was it's a heist, and everyone knows that if you've met me for 5 minutes, I love a heist.
Mm-hmm.
I love a heist. I'll read any heist book. I'll watch any heist movie. I've sent text to you and Tyler about the three of us should just do a heist to get out of this.
We're not planning on one.
Yeah, we're not planning on anything, but I love heist. And a poorly executed heist movie is still entertaining to me. And then you have something like this, which is just incredible. I just gave myself goosebumps again. And I had so many goosebumps during this episode. I'm going to watch it again. Like I want to watch it again and again and again, because I thought this was just so well executed. The pacing was incredible. It just, the only thing missing, and because I've said this before, is Diego Luna looks so much like 70s era Paul McCartney, and that's Wings, and that's Band on the Run. You could have had Band on the Run playing during this episode, and I just would have shot to the moon. It was because they are a band on the run, and it was so good. I just like, why? This is literally what I said after it was over. I finished it, and I do the thing where, like, when I watch something really good, and I was watching this at school, so I like slowly take my earbuds out, and I just stare at the wall, and I was just like, why can't everything Star Wars be this? Like, what is missing? Why are we having things that can't be this good most of the time? I understand not everything's going to be a home run, but this was a grand slam with all the fixes.
Let me answer that question that you posed. What is missing? Why can't all Star Wars be this good? What is missing? I think that it is what is missing that makes this good.
Right. Yeah.
And specifically, that is no legacy characters.
Yeah.
And I can't believe everything's subjective, and everybody's going to like things and dislike things and everything like that. But I can't believe that there are people that I've seen online on various social media platforms saying that this show is not good. It baffles me. I mean, like I said, at the end of the day, everything's subjective. You have your own opinions, but I want to know if you're a Star Wars fan and you don't like this. If you don't come into this with an open mind and you just say no, thank you, not for me. I need to know what the content that you like is, because I don't get it. Like, this is perfect. I mean, if it's that you have to have Jedi and lightsabers and stuff like that it's not Star Wars to you without that, then I guess I can kind of respect that opinion a little bit. And the fact that I felt like I was watching a Mission Impossible movie. And it was just to the point of, I guess it's not Star Wars enough because there's no stormtroopers, there's no Jedi, there's no lightsabers, there's no stormtroopers, I mean, there were TIE fighters, there was a getaway chase. I can't understand it. I just, there's no explanation to me, but just talk to me a little bit about the heist itself, what you really enjoyed, and then we can kind of get into sort of the fallout with some of these ancillary characters.
Besides everything, I love the setup of, okay, you're over here. Everyone has their missions plot. Sometimes if you're watching a heist movie, it's really unclear, like, who's really doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
But this was very clear of, like, you group are doing this, you are doing this, and when this happens, this is when you take over. So when, Andor and his crew are in their mix of doing things, they come in at just that, like, perfect timing, that perfectly timed thing, which works because sometimes you'll see something in a movie where it doesn't seem like it actually fits. And you're like, well, that didn't make sense. But this made all the perfect sense the entire time. And then it was quick and it was clean. And then, like any good heist, there's a little backstab. And, because, at the end of the day, heist people, guys doing heist they're still committing a crime, and they're obviously got some, they're not good guys. And that idea is, okay, here's the backstab. Here's where, so it was just this beginning of, like, we're in this together because we have to be, because we can't do this alone. But once we do it, it's every man for themselves. And I thought that was just so well executed. And the fact that this wasn't a 2-hour long movie,
mm-hmm.
and the way that because it could have been, and it could have easily been a 2-hour long movie and a lot more fleshed out and probably been awesome too. I actually feel like it could have been, but the way they were able to deliver it in such a way, and to feel so, like, at the end when it all just goes down, not the end of the show, but the end of the heist, when it goes down, it was, like, so satisfying. Because there's that thing about any heist, you root for the people that are doing the wrong thing, even though they're not necessarily doing the wrong thing, but you're rooting for the criminals. It's like in Oceans, you're rooting for them to steal the money. And, like, in a weird way, it's like you almost kind of root for the Joker in his heist because he's dealing with, like, sloppy bankers that are in with the mob. And, he's taking advantage of people that are taking advantage of other people. Like, there's always a thing is, like, is the Joker really a bad guy? Because he's kind of going, against that. And so this is another group of people where it's like, are they really bad guys, or are they just kind of Robin Hooding? And it's this whole thing that I just love. And so for me, it was perfectly executed, just the right amount of time. And then that backstab is perfectly done.
So the backstab being when Skeen says, look, we both know why we're here.
Yeah.
Let's just split it right down the middle and take off. Why do you think that he made the decision of, I'm just going to cap you, and then I'm going to go in and say, look, I want my cut. He tried to steal everything. Believe me or not, I don't care. And now I'm out.
I think it's that, for me, it's that idea of, I don't want anyone to know that I did this, in a way. It's like we get out clean, and, like, I can just go on with my life and you can go on with yours. And I think it's that idea of, like, you do that heist thing where, like, the guy that you're maybe closest with, you either have to cut a deal with them early in a sense of like they know that you're going to backstab everyone else, or they're completely cut out of it like he was, where he's like, no, see ya. And so I think the idea for him was to do this and just get out and move on to the next mission, because we don't know, up to here. This is our our introduction technically to him, even though we saw him in Rogue One, but it's this backstory of him, and probably not the first time he's done this kind of thing, and that's, to me, what I think it just shows him. I think the other reason too is we have to show him as a guy that's not good or bad, and he's the perfect middle line character,
right? And you mentioned on to the next mission, and I think part of that will be, there's 6 episodes left.
Yeah,
I'm elated by that.
Hulk.
But he's given, after Karras gets squashed by the payroll skids or whatever you want to call them, and he gotta sustained some serious internal damages. Val hands Cassian Karras's manifesto after the doctor with 4 arms, which I'm going to tell you right now, that certainly looked like a guy.
Mm-hmm.
And then somebody just standing behind him with the arms.
Yeah, it definitely did.
It didn't look great.
No.
She hands him the manifesto, and he takes off, and that's the end of the episode. Well, no, the end of the episode is Luthen back at his antiquities shop, kind of privately celebrating this rebel attack. And this is sort of like the first, as I understand it, the first sort of rebel attack that we see, or the first rebel attack, like organized rebel attack against the Empire. What do you think is in that manifesto, and how do you think that is going to compel him to move the story forward?
That's a good question. I honestly, I really am not sure. And I don't try to, this is one thing I don't really do, is I try not to know too much going forward, because number one, it's like a lot of times people just make guesses and they're way wrong. And and for me, I think it feels to me, and this is maybe just my own personal thing, is obviously another kind of heist type mission and I think this time though, it'll be more of a thing where he comes out looking good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I think the story moves, because you don't, even though we really like where this is going and things like that, you do kind of have to make him end up looking sort of good and not even neutral, because of what Star Wars, although this show could just be like, screw it, we don't care. And that wouldn't surprise me.
It seems that way.
It seems that way so far.
Extent. Mm-hmm.
My guess is maybe it won't make him necessarily look good, but he definitely won't have it won't end with him backstabbing someone again. Mm-hmm. I think that's where it probably leads us. But honestly, it doesn't even matter. I like this show a lot anyhow. And then this episode was just like, all right, hook, line, sinker.
I really felt the editing during the scene in which they are having the people that they've taken captive load up the transport with the payroll money, as the guys are kind of closing in on them, spliced in with the eye and this sort of like ongoing meteor shower, spliced in with the natives sort of doing their, was just a really masterful way to sort of build that tension. Mm-hmm. Of we're going to get caught, and there's a good piece of score behind it, and you can tell there's the urgency behind all of these guys and ladies as they try to get as much as they can while the getting's good. And things go sideways a little bit, and I think that probably happens in most heists a little bit. Is you have to adapt a little. You can't go too perfectly, but yeah, I mean, I was just super impressed with this episode the whole way around, and very well done to the directors and the cast and crew and everybody for Just a really excellent episode. Let's do a little I want to do a little bit of exploration here, since we've been getting into this habit of like checking the Rotten Tomatoes stuff. 91 fresh, critical,
Okay.
82 audience. So feels low on the audience side.
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, 91 is, people are just not gonna like stuff, but 82 for the audience, like you said, I would just, this is another thing where, like, if you don't like this, comment and let us know. Like, I'm not gonna call you stupid, I'm not gonna do anything like that. I just want to know why you don't enjoy this show. That would be my big thing. And if it is like lightsabers, like you said, or something like that, I can get that to some degree, but I would like to know why, because this show's, in my mind, freaking awesome, and this episode was incredible. One
Yeah.
A episode.
One, yeah, definitely +1. Moving on.